right, ladies and gentlemen, back with yours truly, and Mr. Cage Lawyer. When Cage says he's ready, it means we go. So hopefully we bring another epic, legendary. Yes, the Bleeker. Bleeker's got some good branding.
Bleeker.
Welcome back to Lucas Tigers and Bronzo Mai. I think it's episode 949, and I want to ask you something right off the bat.
Boom.
Have you ever watched Comedy Central roast?
I think I have once or twice. Yes.
So I was looking for entertainment today, kind of like 3:30, 4 p.m. Like kind of wrapped up the day, worked out, did all the things, and I was like, what would be funny? And I was like, I watched a ton of stand up. I've seen Chappelle, I've seen Ricky Gervais. I was like, I miss Comedy Central roast. Like I remember I used to watch those.
Right.
Cage is just watching his clip on repeat. He's like, I'm so proud of myself.
Somebody just texted it to me. It's funny. I'm like, what are they texting? Yeah. So what are you texting? Yeah. So you want me to read the text I just got? Because I want to talk about your thing, but it's funny you start off with Comedy Central. Somebody texted me that clip, but right before it, they said, just want to make sure you tell Andrew he had me laughing. Even though you didn't react, he had me laughing. And I'm like, really? You have to tell me what I'm the comedic part of this show. And you tell jokes, but they always fall flat. But what people love is when you try to veil calling me old. And it was when we were talking about set collecting, and I was talking about how I filled like the 80s sets, and you dropped in, well, what about when you completed the T206 sets? And then somebody got a real kick out of that. And I was stone-faced
that wasn't a joke.
See?
you like Cobb Wagner, and you like that guy with the girl name all in one.
Christy Matheson.
Yep.
That's the girl, the guy with the girl name. Okay, all right. I mean, I knew who you meant.
and it's accurate.
I mean, sure. Yeah. I mean,
a lot of Christies today that are guys?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, last name, Doug Christie.
Checks out.
Doug Christie. But I mean, listen, names change.
What's the text? That
was the text. That they thought it was very funny that you were making fun of my age by saying that my set building is T2S. Got a lot of great feedback about the set. We can get into that. Tell me which roast did you see?
This was just a mashup of all the best moments. It was 100 all the way counted down to 1.
That's actually
Pete Davidson was 3.
He could be funny. He could be funny in a self-deprecating way.
Peyton Manning was there. Barbara Walters. Blake Griffin's hilarious. Nikki Glaser was good. It was, and I was just thinking, like, I think the hobby could use a roast because what the jokes in a roast, you got to have thick skin and you can't take yourself super serious. And I don't think anybody really takes themselves that serious. But I think with the internet and with Instagram, or with any social media, if anything is ever said about you, it always feels like there's like a big gorilla or a big man yelling at you.
Yep.
But some things like the tongue-in-cheek nature of how you deliver a message is lost. So I think a live roast would do so well. Like
I think people will get upset. People in this hobby get very butthurt. They do. They start throwing basketballs at each other, and like it gets out of hand, man. This hobby, it started in grandma's basement. It stayed in grandma's basement during COVID, and even though COVID's over, most of the hobby is still in someone's basement. I mean, it's kind of just the way that it is, and people get upset. They really do. I mean, look, Shayway Vlogs. He still wants a Luca Award. It's going to be April next week.
But then you have this platform to just say whatever you want, and you go down the list of you just go after it, and then it's like beat to squashed right there.
I get it. All right. I mean, listen,
because I think
pitch it for the national.
I think it'd be good. I think it'd be really good.
Pitch it for the national.
And the two main guys. I mean, I don't know what people would have to roast you about.
Oh, plenty.
Soda Chick-fil-A,
T206 set collecting.
I think
my T-shirts.
The two guys that come out, Jeff Wilson and Ken Golden. I think people would love to have some things to say about it. I think it'd be fun.
Jeff Wilson works for Tops. I didn't know that. He's at St. Louis. He posted today. He's at the St. Louis. I guess it's spring training, and he's out there. He posted again. Look at it. Take a look.
He works for Tops. He works for Fanatics.
Well, he posted his badge, his on-field credentials. I think it said TV Media, and under his picture, the company he was there for said Tops. Yeah, take a look.
Yeah, but that's a media pass
from Topps.
It doesn't mean he works for Topps.
Okay. Does it mean he works for Panini, but it says Topps on there?
At this point, anybody working for Panini should be, LinkedIn,
Oh no, that wasn't
updating,
where I was
resume
going.
updating.
No, that wasn't where I was going. Jeff, we love you. That was awesome stuff that you got to go on field. I am jealous. I wish Topps would give me a media pass and I can go into spring training. That would be fantastic. But they don't. But I sent Fanatics a love letter today. Guys, check that out.
If you asked
Please
him,
share
he
it.
would. I bet if you asked him, regardless of where the money's come from, he would say that he invested a lot into content production.
Yes.
And I would argue that his studio, the booth, and we could talk about the things coming out of his mouth if you want, but like the actual way that they do production is top tier. Kelly, who runs it, Benchmark Chicago, they do a good
Remember
job.
we were on their like Christmas thing? Run like a machine.
No? You're such a dick. It's a live show where there's so many interchangeable parts. It's tough to do that. What topics do you have today? Scott Foster, NBA.
All right. Remember, Suns in 4. I'm going to do a green screen little thing of this, right? I want to talk about the content, but I'm going to do one of these green screens. And behind me, I'm going to point like this, the Western Conference. Because remember what I said was Suns in 4, because the Suns at the time were 4 games ahead. They were in the 4 seed, right? And they were 4 games ahead of the team that was in 11th.
Okay.
So the difference between the 4 seed, a home playoff, and the 11th seed out of the play-in was 4 games. Do you want to take a guess what it is now?
It's 3 games. Suns are 38 and 34 in the 4 seed, and the Jazz, Pelicans are 35 and 37.
And the Lakers, who won last night, bounced up into it. A huge game between Golden State and Dallas, which has implications of which one might avoid a play-in game. That's Golden State on the road with some weird officiating baloney that happened in that game and protests. But it is amazing. And I think it's amazing because most of these teams are just bad. But if the Suns, who lost yesterday to the Lakers, go on a little bit of a skid here, after trading for KD, they have a shot. I'm not going to say they missed the playoffs, but it's 3 games from right now them being a home court in the first round versus not even making the playoffs. A lot of teams they'd have to get dropped.
Let me share my thoughts on the Suns,
please.
Let me give you guys a stat. So there was this graphic that came out: most fouls called, or like foul differential, fouls called for your team versus fouls called against your team. The 2 top teams were Heat and Lakers, and the 2 bottom teams in foul differential, Suns and Warriors, meaning they get more fouls called against them than for them. Make sense?
Yep.
I don't know where the Suns finish this season. I don't know what happens with KD. I don't rate KD as high as most people do. I rate him very highly as a player. I don't rate him as a winner, and he has to be the alpha on that team because I don't think CP3 or Book is the winner, and I don't see him carrying. I think Monty Williams has lost that locker room. This is the second time in 2 weeks or a week they're complaining about the officiating, which is accurate. The officiating's off. It's been a weird officiating year. But if you think about it, Cage, you know how Charles Barkley always says you live and die by the jump shot?
Yep.
The Warriors and the Suns are a jump shooting team. So by nature, they're going to have less foul shots. What are we talking about? The Lakers can't shoot. So they chuck the ball and they go to the paint and they go to the rim and they shoot a low percentage, but they have a lot of fouls. It's just a style of game thing. And the fact that Monty doesn't even realize that, I love Monty as the person. People like him, the fans like him, the players, he's like a player's coach. He lost it, man. If he doesn't realize that their play style is why they don't draw fouls.
Mm-hmm. No, you're 100% right. Monty, they interviewed him. They were up after the first quarter by, it was close, but they were up. And they said, he's like, wow, we're winning and we just turned the ball over so much. Like they were playing sloppy ball. It's funny because they traded away a lot of their identity in order to get KD. And then they haven't been able to build a new one because they don't have KD. And that's the scary thing to me about the Suns. Not only no depth, even when they have KD, but it's just who's running the team? Whose team is it while they're waiting for KD?
And KD isn't an identity guy. He's he's probably the best fit into any team guy.
Right. He's a mercenary. You just add him to any team, and he is going to go get you a bucket. He's not going to run the team.
He's not going to. And he'll go 20 possessions, not shooting the ball. It won't affect him, and he'll still get his 35, 40 points. He's incredible. But CP's not running that team. And Book is – you were right about Book, man.
He's a ghost. Blinky. He also – you know what's weird? There are NBA players who get in their own heads. And
in what sense?
You would think that by this stage of his career, if he made a mistake, he wouldn't compound the mistake. He wouldn't, turn the ball over and then commit a stupid foul on the other end. He'd recover. You see young players, he still does that. It's very weird to see. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. You're in the heat of the moment. You're competing and stuff like that. But he lacks the maturity you'd expect to see out of someone who should be an all NBA player every year.
Isn't the maturity in a way not giving an F at times? Like with his skill set, how does he not shoot 40 a game?
I agree.
Just for like an 8-game stretch just to see what happens.
And I think that now don't read too much into this if you're a Suns fan or a Booker fan, but I think the team bringing in a KD, now I'm never going to say anything against that. You have a chance to bring in someone like KD, you do it. But I think if they thought Booker was that guy, if they thought Booker was ready to go out there, take the reins, and take 40 shots and not give an F, it's my team and I'm going to go get the buckets, they wouldn't have brought KD in. They would have kept their rotation, they would have kept their depth because they could have banked on Booker. I don't think they can. I don't think he's that guy.
I don't think they can. And if you guys remember 2006 to like 2005, maybe 2005 and 6, to like 2009, Kobe was not a good look. Like it was not a good Kobe. He wasn't getting his teammates involved. He was just shooting a lot.
Yep.
But like in the point of when you don't have an identity, you just have a guy that says, whatever, ride me and we'll see what happens. And when you guys figure out how to step up, we'll figure out an identity. We'll bring in a path. But for a little while, I'm going to run the show. Book has every opportunity. That's his team. He was drafted by it. They believe in him. He's Aiton. You clearly aren't aggressive. I'm just going to go get mine. Get it off the offensive rebound if you want to get your points.
Booker has the talent to be as good or better than a Lillard, but he doesn't have the Lillard mentality. He's not a killer. That's the difference.
I say this with love because if you guys remember when the bubble Suns were like the team that culminated like the COVID run up, remember in August? I'm like, this team could be so cool. And then they got CP and then they went to the finals. You're like, you wanted to root for that team. Okay. You want to talk about Ja a little bit?
Carl Anthony Towns come back last night too. Ian wore his jersey today to school because he's been waiting 52 games for his, for
I
for
struggle
that guy.
to watch the Timberwolves. I haven't watched a lot of their games.
It was a good game.
It was a good game.
It came down to the last second. He got fouled at the end. He hit 2 free throws. Was yelling at the crowd. This is I'm built for this. I'm finally back. It was a lot of fun.
I'm built for this.
I'm built for this.
I'm built for free throws.
I'm built for free throws. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that was how. But I mean, look, to grab that win with Edwards, injured and on the bench, and still go out there and win. Lakers, impressive. Troy Brown Jr. playing meaningful minutes, that team playing well without LeBron, dare I say. So, I mean, it's interesting.
It's going to be confusing if he comes back to the playoffs, though. Like, what's the style they're going to play? Is Austin Reeves your point guard now? Like, because he's not, like, that good of a player. He's getting a lot of calls. He's having a good streak. But are you going to ride Austin Reeves or are you going to turn it back over to LeBron? There's going to be
Austin Reeves has an opportunity. Like Cam Thomas had an opportunity.
To get paid?
To get paid, to get minutes, to get buckets, because somebody has to put the ball in the basket. It's the NBA. There is literally no defense anymore.
Do you think the NBA media has a race bias in the sense that they're giving this guy all this love, but there's another player, Hardy, on the Mavs, who's also playing incredibly well, but he's not getting the media attention. Like everywhere I look, I'm seeing Reeves.
Cam Thomas got the media attention. You know what I mean? In the same season, doing the same exact thing. So I'm going to answer your question. No.
Okay.
But I mean, I
race bias has been a big Twitter theme. Jokic versus Embiid has been
East Coast bias is a big thing. There's always bias. It depends on how you want to, spin your story. But yeah, I mean, listen, for cards, the West is tough, man. The West is tough. Do you buy some Oklahoma City guys on the chance that maybe they actually surprise to the upside? Are you selling Suns cards? Are you now a seller on Durant? Because even if he comes back healthy and that team is sitting at 4, you have no confidence in them making a deep run anyway. They might be, even if they're sitting at 4 and they manage to, sneak there, are they ripe to be picked off in the first round in an upset? I mean, what do you think? Is it just dangerous to hold any cards right now?
So for the West, a metaphor real quick. So there's this thing called price to earnings in stock market, right? In the markets. And it's basically like what the stock is trading at based on how much money the actual business makes.
Price to earnings ratio.
I would argue parity. I think this year the West has shown their true earnings. And I think the previous seasons, it's been a little bit overhyped or overinflated. So I would say the challenge right now is most players are overpriced or too expensive.
Okay, that's fair.
And I can't think of one guy. There'll be surprises. You don't know who that is, but I can't think of one guy who's been poised to break out. Maybe one guy that comes to mind is IQ that quickly. That's still relatively young. He's a rookie. His cards are cheap. Jalen Brunson is another guy I would really take a look at because I think this next team could make a run. But out of the West, I think
Tom Thibodeau.
Ja has too much liability. Zion has missed more than 50% of these games.
Oh,
Buckwheat
60% of the games.
Buckwheat just said like he's not that guy. Shai just his logo man just sold for $290,000. So maybe you could get into him, but it seems like he's run a little bit. AD, Curry, like who else? Dave. All these guys have already had their moments.
Jokic, I mean, I was going to suggest 2 names, but Paul George's injury, if it's as bad as it looks, I think probably eliminates the Clippers from any real contention, unless that isn't as bad. I didn't see any update, but his knee looked pretty bad. It looked like it was turned pretty bad.
Ty Lue's going to step down.
What'd you say?
Ty Lue's going to step down in the summer, and they're going to bring in Myers, I think, as the GM.
My 2 names for potential to look at for cards were, because they're contrarian plays and because they were beaten down, and I try to find them on the downswing and go up. And sometimes you get burned on that, man, because we know in cards it's all about the momentum. It's got to be that straight swing up, and a lot of times when they do this, it's hard to reclaim that.
And Kawhi's not going to have the personality to build.
Not Kawhi. It was Russell Westbrook. And it was only because I thought he's been beaten down so badly that if that team actually did something in the playoffs, there's only one way for his cards to go, and they're up. And on the other side, it's James Harden, because Philly's going to play meaningful games. And while I love Embiid, and it's most likely Embiid's team, and I love Maxey because he's a young guy, Harden, if they win a championship, that's a big thing for his resume. And he's not going to be a nobody on a championship team. If they actually win, there will be games where he's the leading scorer. There will be games where he's hitting a big shot. There's also going to be games where he looks lost. A couple games this week. I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Bucks, Sixers. Do you think Sixers could beat the Bucks?
Yeah. I think they're the only team that can, actually, in the East. Yeah. I don't think that it's going to happen, but you asked, can they do it? Yes. Embiid's got to play MVP level games the entire time, both on the offensive and the defensive side, and shut down Giannis. And by shut down, I mean he's got to score 28 and 12. That's the NBA now, shutting down.
The last 2 days, the markets, I've been very market driven. I text Cage the markets. He ignores me. He's like, basically, go away. I'm not interested. You don't know what you're talking about. Please leave me alone.
Oh, you do know what you're talking about, but unless you have an action step for me, I don't.
They've been choppy. It was like up 1 or 2%, then it was down 2%, then it was back up 1%. And these are big moves for market. Like, that's what the confusion has been with this NBA season. It's not there haven't been these amazing performances. It's been, for every amazing performance, there's been like Ja dunks on this guy and then he's out. Zion
parodies everywhere. Tatum started off like an MVP and now he's playing like crap. But the Celtics as a team look great this week as opposed to how horrible they looked last week. I know exactly what you're saying.
Except for in one place.
Bucks.
Yeah. And I hate Cajun was right. And they built a juggernaut. And what I mean by this is they have youth. But that is what I've seen is just a proven vet team that's like
a locomotive that you better really come to knock it off the road, because it's going to be very hard to knock off a fit, in form, veteran, battle-tested team. Like it's very difficult.
Can you do me a favor? Can you, if you could do it quickly, if you can? I know there's indexes, which I don't really love, but what's happened to Mahomes' cards since the Super Bowl? Okay, and as you're looking this up, right? I love Mahomes. You were all on Mahomes.
I said they're going to win the Super Bowl for the year.
You called Mahomes, but you made a comparison to Mahomes, and you said that Mahomes was Michael Jordan. And what I said was Mahomes was Giannis, and that Mahomes was going to win the individual awards, and he's got that one, but it's not really going to matter, and you're not really going to see what you need to see out of him until he wins that second one. But I'd be curious to see what happens to his prices after he wins that second one. And I think
now 40% in the last
your indicator here is
I'm sorry.
If I'm Giannis, if I'm buying Giannis, part of what you're saying is let's split for a second what's happening on the court versus what's happening in the cards. And when you led into this, when I said, hey, who are you buying in the cards? You said, I think everybody's priced too high. And it's hard for me to come up with someone who's priced too high. And just as confident as you are that Giannis may win, it doesn't mean you're buying his cards. And I look to Mahomes, who I consider a comparison to Giannis, MVPs, potentially winning a second championship. Look what happened to Mahomes' cards. I think you could probably look at that and see something similar for Giannis.
Identical. 40% down over the last 6 months, 30% down over the last 3 months, and flat over the last month. What Mahomes is.
But what happens 4%. To Mahomes after the Super Bowl? What happened to Mahomes right after the Super Bowl?
Up 4%, whereas Giannis is flat right now.
Yeah,
that's the only difference.
The bump that many people are expecting often doesn't come because everyone's expecting that bump, and you wind up getting more supply out there than there is demand because everybody's holding for that Super Bowl. Everybody's holding, Giannis now, trying to dump it after he wins again, and the price doesn't go up. Go ahead.
I'll say one thing that's not captured in indices, but collectors will truly understand this is in periods of high supply is when you could get a really cool card of Giannis or cool card of Mahomes. So it's not just about buying the card and then selling it for, what's his index. It's like maybe his market is flat, but you were able to trade to sell one card and buy a much nicer card that you see like a next day auto, hypothetically.
Right. That's where we talk about the right card. The index isn't going to show that, but a card that doesn't come out too often, if it pops up because he wins the second one and the price is not crazy, you buy that. And if it doesn't come up for sale for the next 3 years and Giannis is still doing his thing, all of a sudden you bought the right card. That card will appreciate.
I'll ask you. You remember the 1-of-1 I had?
Yeah.
Okay. That sold for $17K. Today is 32nd day. They can't return it, so it's
congratulations.
Done. $17K. A next day auto.
Congratulations.
Like the football next day auto, the Mahomes PSA 10 is about a $10,000 card.
Yep.
Which card would you rather have?
I think I'd have the next day.
I think I would have the next day and $7K any day of the week and twice on a Sunday.
I think I'd have the next day.
But that's a good example. You can see his market's flat, but maybe in a flat but demand-driven market, you can sell one, buy another, and stay in the market. So,
yeah, no, I think. Listen, I think that's the way that I would go. Just I like that one. There's a lot of 1-of-1s, man.
Yeah.
And someone paid a premium for a 1-of-1, and then there's a lot of 1-of-1s. So it's crazy. It's good stuff. I will say this, guys. Today's an interesting day. If you haven't looked at it yet, I had a post this morning, something I found on Twitter. It was a breaker, who it looks like, pulled a card and then it was off camera and then the card disappeared. I wasn't in the stream, I give credit to where I saw it on Twitter. And, after, the post has, been shared all over hobby Instagram. But the breaker actually came out and, on his page put like an apology on it, said that it was somebody they hired who, was a young kid and, no longer there. And I posted that in my story because you guys know me. People listening to this, you guys know me. I'm going to give every side of the story. I'm never just going to give my slant. And, I will give credit for them not staying silent and actually putting a reply or an answer or an explanation out there. And it is on my story. You can get it. I'm not going to dwell on that. I am going to raise one issue. We do have probably a good amount of collectors who listen to our show. Now we have a lot of people who I wouldn't call collectors, people who love the mug life, people who love the herb. We have people who like your comedic stylings and your impressionist dance moves.
We have a diverse listener group.
They
Just
love
say
it,
it like that. Save
but we
the
do
time.
have, I think, more collectors than most. I do.
Prove it, but okay.
What'd you say? Prove it? I mean, okay.
That's not in the Anchor
That's
analytics.
what I say, I think. That's what
it's
I think.
men, women, and percentage of Hong Kong. We're 208th in Hong Kong.
Correct. We're very big in Sheboygan.
Collector.
Anybody know who that's from? We're very big in Sheboygan. So here's my ask to the collectors, and my ask to you to comment on this. Okay, I put 2 reels out today, 2 pieces of content, right? And I've heard it told that if you just make content about your collection, if you just put your cards out there, people are gonna love it, and it's gonna go viral. People are gonna love your cards, right? So my 2 pieces of content were, one, I would consider breaking and hobby drama. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one is basically a note to fanatics to please don't forget the collectors. Hey, we are here. Hey, we're the guys you should probably look to help you grow. Don't forget about us. Remember the girl who took you to the dance when you're actually at the dance, kind of thing, right? And we can help you grow this hobby. Don't forget about us. And it may be
one's
easier.
kind of like a feel good, from the heart, and the other's like drama.
Yeah, one's drama about the new breed. It's breaking.
Yes.
It's what Fanatics, I think, is after, right? It's the new breed. It's the new blood in the hobby is all about that breaking. Whereas the old blood in the hobby is, hey, I like my cards. The cards better be good. Sort of the stuff that I talked about in our episode with Fanatics. You can market like crazy to these young kids, but when you bring them in, the cards have to matter. So
right. If Michael Rubin says hypothetically, like, hey, I'll save the anecdote for later.
Well, but the point being, right, I know already that my second post, the post about, hey, Fanatics, don't forget about us, the collectors, is going to do miserable numbers by comparison to the hobby drama breaking one. And I guess my ask is to the collectors out there, maybe you guys can't just high post in the corner and say we're collectors. Maybe you can't just sit there at the club while the young kids are out there on the dance floor going after their dance partners, and they're out there having a good time and shaking it up while you sit there like this in the corner saying they don't know that I have PMGs.
Yeah. They don't know that
I got rubies.
We need a sign.
They can't spell arena design. They don't know. Maybe what you should be doing is also kind of making some noise, because I do believe in life that if you don't toot your own horn, no one will. The greasy wheel gets the oil. I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You know what I'm saying? I screwed that up. The old Japanese slogan, right? It's the nail that sticks out is the one that gets hammered down, right? I mean,
I'm not scared of the guy who practiced 1,000 kicks. I'm scared of the man who practiced one kick 1,000 times. Doesn't apply.
The point is, we want Fanatics to listen to us. We want Fanatics to realize, and anybody else in the hobby to realize, that yes, it's great to go after new blood. It's great to go after the new breed of collector, but don't forget about us. It might actually be easier to keep us collectors, the people who were here before, happy than it is to make happy newer ones. But I think you need to be a little louder, right? You have to make sure that Fanatics hears you. So share my post. No, but the point here is,
with your next reel, let's get loud.
Let's get loud,
please, because you went Mockingbird, and what else did you go with?
It was an instrumental.
Oh, the instrumental. Well, I think Dre made most of the instrumental for Eminem, so like it's so recognizable. You could know Eminem songs without the lyrics.
I was looking for Patiently Waiting instrumental, but I didn't find that. I like that one because collectors are always patiently waiting. But
I agree, man. But dude, you gotta
Mockingbird.
understand.
I was thinking while I was posting it about the collectors. Like if that ring don't shine and that bird don't sing, I'm gonna break that birdie's neck. Exactly. That was what I was thinking.
It's actually a very nice song. Like you picked out very one line that if someone didn't listen, that's actually not a spoiler. That's the emphasis. The internet is drama sells on the internet. It's what it's made for. Like it's really made for shareability. And like what who's gonna share that your second post about Fanatics being so good? Like
collectors should share it. They should share it until Fanatics sees it and says, you know what? The collectors deserve a focus group. They deserve.
I don't think the collectors are as united as you think. I think they all sit at like different tables.
A great point. Maybe the best point you've made in 100 episodes. They're sitting there high posting. They don't know. They don't know that I got PMGs. Gold.
We're the PMG table, and those guys are like the vintage table. I don't think they're as united.
They don't know that I got chrome golds. They don't know. They don't know that I got vintage baseball. They don't know the faction that I'm in here, my vintage faction. They don't know.
I'm actually excited for Mint, though. I did. Like the lineup, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Will you try to play Papa Shot with Jason Williams?
Yep. Yes. I actually lost to Lefko, the first national I went to. He was legit. Yeah. The key is shooting one-handed, by the way. It's not to shoot two-handed in Papa Shot. Got to go quick. A little floaters in the lane. It's not full stroke.
Well, at least you have a strategy for that. I mean,
for sure.
For 900 episodes, I've been telling you we need a system to make this thing work. You have a system for Papa Shop, but not for this. It's ridiculous. It's absurd.
What else are you excited for before we wrap?
Let's see. I'm excited that baseball is a week away.
Okay. A week away.
My first day at Mint is Yankee opening day. I'll probably miss that game, which is a little upsetting to me. Mint, the sacrifices that I'm making for you.
That tradition was broken during COVID.
So I wouldn't be going live, but at least I'd be watching the game.
Still watch the game.
The game's at 3 o'clock. We'll see. We'll see what happens, bro. So I'm excited.
You could even bet on it at the sportsbook. Don't bet on it at the sportsbook. But you could go to the sportsbook to watch.
The last bet I made was on you on this podcast, and look how that turned out. So I'm not a bettor. I've given up betting now. You know,
the bet didn't go to zero yet, though.
No,
but for
some reason I keep dollar cost averaging.
Maybe the cash out is like 0.001, but it's still live. There has not been a loss. It hasn't been graded.
This is true.
Say what you want.
This is very, very. It's all true. I see no lies detected.
People think winning in business is like about these grandiose plans and vision and all that. It is. But I think if I've learned anything, it's sometimes you just have to tread water. Like, how do you not drown? Is you sometimes got to tread water. Then you get energy and you swim closer to shore. Tread water again, you swim closer to shore.
When I took my lifeguard certification, I had to do a survival tread. It was like 15 minutes. Just tread water 15 minutes. But you do a survival tread. So like actually like go in the water a little, go back up, go in the conserving energy. Pool was freezing too. But you pass it. You got to pass tests in life. That's the way it works. So let's see what else I'm excited about. The football draft is a week and a half away. NCAA, we're going to be in Vegas for some of that. This has been a crazy madness tournament. My wife actually asked me, hey, what's going on with all these upsets? Normally they're upsets, but there's a lot more. What's going on? And I had an idea, I had a thought on it, and it was the most successful programs are now not going for the number 1, 2, 3, like best recruits out of high school. And instead, you'd be better off with people who are a little further down the list, who are actually going to stay more than a year. That people who are going to play 2, 3, 4 years, and you build a cohesive team of, still first layer recruits, but not the Zions, not the guys who are going to play 1 year and leave. And because of that, because of this new 1 year and leave kind of thing, you don't have the juggernauts of the Dukes and the North Carolinas and those teams anymore. The mid-majors play better. There's a lot more parity, just like the West. And, teams, the big schools don't have the ability to, to build those juggernauts anymore. And with NIL, the playing field has evened up a little bit as far as basically paying the players. So a lot of thought process on that.
COVID. It's also COVID eligibility. So like with COVID, what was it? VCU, when COVID was like COVID hit March 2020, they were actually like 30-2. Like that team was on a roll. And you remember they canceled March Madness?
Yeah.
and they gave all those kids another year of eligibility. So it's just weird. Also, some guys are like 25 years old.
The eligibility requirements definitely changed. I see Drew Timmy's still out there, on Gonzaga. He's 55 years old. But so that in the
how
NCAA,
funny is watching Drew Timmy dominate and Zach Edey dominate college, and you're like, these guys can't do anything versus them in the NBA. Like Zach Edey playing in the NBA would be the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, he's a big dude. So you got the NCAA. New York basketball is interesting. I haven't had this kind of buzz since basically the 80s. Now, obviously, the Knicks were good in the 90s and early 2000s, but St. John's signed Rick Pitino. It's actually making a little bit of news there.
He's an intense dude. He's like, most of you guys aren't even going to be here next year because you don't fit my program. Jesus Christ!
It reminds me of you.
A lot of minus all the sexual allegations.
Well, it depends who you ask.
Is that accurate? If not, a legend. Cut.
Cut. No, so I mean, there's a lot to be excited about in the sports world, and Mint. I'm actually excited for the show. I'm actually excited to see some cards. I'm bringing some cards. I'm bringing like a Night Moves. I'm bringing a Jalen Green, 75th anniversary out of 75 rookie. Maybe open some cards while we're there. Excited to see some folks, getting some messages from people who are going to be there now. There's going to be some cigars. So message me if you're going to be at Mint. If you're within earshot of this, you hear this, let me know you're going to be there. Yeah, man. And the one thing I'm not excited about, I'm excited about NFL season. It'll be fun, but the Raiders are just going to be so trash. They're just going to be so bad.
Brothels in Vegas have offered. Is that fake news? It's so hard in today's day and age to know if something's true or not.
I mean, does it really matter if that's true or false? He's not going to take them up on it. I mean,
you don't know that.
I guess it's true. I don't know that. This is all very true. I don't know.
The story reads that the two were alone in an empty restaurant when Cypher approached Pitino, which followed by a brief sexual encounter. According to Pitino's testimony, the sex lasted 15 seconds and was unfortunate. This is a direct quote. This was a direct quote.
Listen, man. No, you're allowed. You're allowed. I don't know. I mean, no. I mean, listen.
Do you want use? Do you want share? Collectors are not going to share. People don't care about your set registry. They want this. They want the drama.
A couple people told me they went and pulled some binders out, and they're going to start pulling sets back. It was nice to hear that they're not the only lunatics in the world.
They called you on the landline too. They sent you a postcard.
Cricket Mobile.
Yeah,
it was Cricket Mobile. No, but I listen. There's a lot to be excited about. A lot of people gearing up for the National. National's right around the corner, and we only number our back and forth episodes. You and I, right? We don't number like if DPZ's on or Black Shaded Wolf's on.
So many are wrong. We numbered. It's crazy.
1,000 is going to be right around National. I wonder if we do 1,000 from National. The only issue I may have with that is we did episodes from National last time. They were in like a parking garage. It's like Andrew illegally parked again, and we're going to do an episode from the car. Here we go. Let's rock.
That was a good spot, actually.
That was a great spot.
If you're going to do something like you do it all the way, and you do it like that was, I'll do it again. I was stressed, man. I was not having a good time at all.
Well, it's going to be different here. It's going to be different here in Vegas. You're going to be in Vegas. Think of how calm and relaxed you are going to be by the time everyone actually gets there. You're going to be there Monday, if I lose my bets, Wednesday.
I'm going to be on edge. I'm going to be ready to fight.
Who out in Vegas has access to the good trees for my friend here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Reach out to Andrew. You can find him at the MGM Sportsbook pretty much every night. He'll take cones. It's not his favorite. He'll take pre-rolls. Also not his favorite. But beggars can't be choosers at some point in time. He'll be there, right?
I'm getting there Monday night.
Love it. I'm not getting there Monday, but I hope you are still.
Are you gonna break the news of what you have going on Saturday night, or we're not ready?
So there's a big event Saturday night, and outside the outdoor space, there's going to be Luca Nation cigar event, and I've already started, feeling out which NFT holders are actually going to be there. Got the guest list compiled. This way I can, again, extend it to NFT holders who would not otherwise be on the invite list. And I've already started, getting some responses and sending that invite out to our folks. Please send me a message if you're going to be at Mint. This is Saturday night at the Mirage at Rum Bar. Big event. I think like almost every brand is involved in that night. It's tables, bottle service, I think collectible, eBay. It's bullpen. I could look at the invite. There's a lot of names on it, but right there on the invite, you'll see when we post it, Luca Nation cigars on the outdoor space. Yours truly will be cutting. I'll find a way to light because I don't think you can bring like a butane lighter on a plane with you. Andrew's going to be there for 3 days. He'll figure out a way to get some lighters for me. But we'll, and maybe for the Tiger
the
holders,
ones that like work in the wind, right?
Yeah, like torches. It'll be outside, like a butane torch. I have some. I might be able to bring some that are empty. I think you could take it maybe empty. We'll talk between
You're
Monday.
Such a non-smoker, man. It's hilarious.
You
can bring lighters on a plane.
You can bring disposable lighters on a plane in your carry-on, but you cannot bring a butane lighter on a plane. You can bring a Zippo
because it has too much liquid.
You can bring an empty Zippo in your luggage. But I read the TSA, so I am old. I am old enough to read the rules and know about them. So yeah, I'm old. I went and I researched it.
If you guys aren't going to Mint, go to Chantilly. Huge autograph show in Chantilly, Virginia.
Crazy.
Yeah, you should just go. Simple. Pretty easy drive. Also, like, look it up where it's at in Chantilly. It's probably like a few hours from New York. Did you drive?
It does depend. If you are one of the people who are making us number 208 in Hong Kong, Chantilly is not an easy drive for you as you listen to this. But for some of you, it probably is an easy drive, right?
New York could get there. New Jersey could get there.
PA.
You did fly?
Yeah.
But okay. Anyway, figure it out. Stop asking me questions.
Chantilly's going to be a great show. No, we hit everything, man. Enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy the fun. And we're rocking and rolling. With nearly 40 years as the most trusted resource for collectors, dating back to the first Beckett magazine in 1984, Beckett has been the brand that bridges generations of the hobby. We're happy to be partnering with Beckett and look forward to keeping you all updated on the big things happening at the company in 2023. Beckett. It's the name you know and the name you can trust.